Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be Success is Facilitated by Quality Peers. I got an email here from a viewer, and this is something I think everybody is guilty of. We got people in our lives that we want to be a certain way. They don't match our expectations or do what we want, and we tend to get pissed off at them and frustrated when they don't act the way we want. And we try to change them. We try to gently move them in the direction that we think they need to be, or that they need to be more like us. And the reality is, unless somebody wants to change themselves, unless they're open to it, you really can't fucking do anything for them. And the thing where this really inhibits your ability to be successful and move forward in life is if you're growing and you're expanding and you do the things you say you're going to do, you're way further ahead than 97% of the other people that you're going to encounter in this world. And like in this particular case, I got an email here from a guy who's got a good buddy of his who's also a musician, and this guy's trying to get his music career off the ground. But his friend, who he is relying upon to work with and create music with, just never does what he says he's going to do. And so he has to kick this guy in the ass to get him to honor his commitments, because this particular guy wrote me the email. He's the type of guy that says what he means and then does what he says. But his friend here, who he's relying upon to help him with his music or to co-create with him, is not the same kind of person. He doesn't share the same goals and values. But yet he consistently continues to interact with this guy and gets pissed off when this other guy doesn't do what he says he's going to do. So in essence, he's trying to change his friend. And if he's wants to become a successful musician, you're never going to get there. This person is like a giant boat anchor around your neck. You just can't move forward. The only way you can, it's hard enough trying to be successful, but if you got people in your life who don't have the same goals and values and who are not just as committed to succeeding as you are, you're never going to get anywhere. I remember when I was in the 90s, when I was in my 20s, I had several friends. We got together. We're going to start companies. We're going to start buying, fixing, and selling single-family homes, duplexes, quadplexes, investing in multifamily real estate. And we talk about all the money we're going to make and how great it's going to be and how much fun we're going to have. Then I would get together with them to either actually put pen on paper and come up with a business agreement, a partnership agreement, actually go out and start looking at some houses together. And it was like pulling teeth. And I realized, like, fuck this. I'm going to do it without them then. Fuck it. I'll never get anywhere. And it was, I remember the first time I tried to get involved in buying and fixing and selling real estate. It was probably 93, 94, I think it was. And I was still working for a general contractor down in South Florida. I had a really good friend of mine. He was like all excited about it. We went out and looked at a couple properties, and he just kept dithering and hesitating. And I realized he was more into buying, fixing up, and selling cars. He wasn't so much into buying, fixing, and selling real estate. So I was like, fuck it. I just moved on. And it wasn't until 5 years later that I got into business with two guys who were actually doing the same kinds of things that I was doing, buying, fixing, and selling real estate themselves, and they had a passion for it. They were successful at it. They were good at it. So joining forces with two other guys who are already doing exactly what I was already doing made total sense. And we split up the job duties. It's like one of my partners took care of selling the properties. Myself, my other partner, took care of finding the properties. He took care of lining up the private mortgage money to fund these particular deals. And I took care of running the day-to-day operations of the business, making sure the bills were paid and the taxes were done and paying the rent and doing all those little things. And so it was and I was the broker of the office, so it was a really great marriage because we each knew our duties. And the guys that I was in business with were doing what they said they were going to do. And it was pretty easy because our goals and our values were aligned. But we're going to see in this particular case, this guy's trying to get his musical career off the ground, but yet he's involved with people who, let's face it, are never going to be that successful. It's like one of the things Tony Robbins says, love your family, but choose your peers. And this guy has done a piss poor job of choosing his peers, especially the people that he wants to help him with in his music business. So I have a quote that I wrote on this particular topic, and we're going to go through his email and point out what he needs to be doing differently if he ever possibly hopes to have some success in his life. And the quote says, it's much more effective to see people as they are and judge them by their actions instead of trying to change them or get them to conform to the way you think they should be. Wanting other people to be different and act differently than they consistently act is a surefire way to make yourself incredibly frustrated and make very little progress toward what you want. Just like not accepting the reality of our life circumstances causes us to suffer, not accepting the true nature of the people in our lives and wanting them to be different than how they really are will also make us suffer. In order to be efficient, effective, and attain the level of success that we want in our lives, we need to have friends, acquaintances, and coworkers whose goals and values are aligned with the vision that we have for our lives. It's impossible to get to where you want to be when you have key people in your life who do not share the same vision and outcome that you do. To get unstuck and move forward, you need to attract and align yourself with people who share the same vision and passion that you do and who want to help you achieve it. It's so important. One of the examples I use a lot is the band U2. Those 4 guys were boyhood friends. And they all got together and they decided, let's create our own band. And none of the 4 of them had ever taken any kind of musical lessons or learned to play an instrument or sung or anything professionally. They just knew that that's what they wanted to do. So one of them said, hey, I'm gonna learn to play guitar. Another one said, hey, I'm gonna learn to play bass guitar. Another one said, I'm gonna sing. Another one said, I'm gonna learn to play the drums. And they played together for years and they were fucking atrociously horrible. But they've been doing it since they were little kids and they taught themselves how to play. And that's what's so cool about the band U2 is because they didn't have any professional training. They just kind of learned on their own. They have a very unique sound. And the rest is pretty much rock and roll history. They're one of the most successful bands in the world. And what's so cool is after 3, almost 4 decades, they're still together. They're still cranking out new music. They're still doing videos, all 4 of the original band members. Why? What made them so strong is because they were 4 really close, good boyhood, childhood friends. They had the same goals. They had the same values. They had the same passion and the same drive for being in the hunger to succeed. And they still have the same passion. They're still all really great friends. And that's why they're still together. Very few bands make it for 4 decades. I mean, these guys, it's the original lineup from the time they got together. That's unheard of in rock and roll and the music industry as a whole. I mean, you look at the Beatles, they were together, 5, 6, 7 years? Maybe 10 years total that they played together. And then they went off and did other things. It's amazing. That short period of time, that 5, 6 years, they were really crushing it and putting out one album after another and had one hit after another. It's really hard to do. It's impossible to do and be not only in the music business, but building a business. If you're not in business with people that don't absolutely love what they're doing as much as you love what you're doing, they don't have the same goals, they don't have the same values. Like I said, the business partnership that I had, we lasted almost 10 years with those guys. And we just got to a point where we grew apart. But the bottom line is we made a shitload of money together. And a lot of the people that used to work for us, they made a shitload of money. I had a lot of people that worked for us that made multiple 6-figure incomes. All because we had a very, very strong business partnership because our goals and our values were aligned. So let's go through this guy's email. He says, hi, Coach. I've been watching your videos for about a month now, and I like your attitude on women and life in general. I'm having problems with some of my friends. One example is, I do music, and I was making a song with one of my friends. He lives in Phoenix, and I'm in Seattle. So everything has to be done over email. My friend finished his verse and was going to add a little bit to it and send it the next day. Almost 2 weeks later, I get a text from him saying, sorry, I haven't sent the verse, but I've been real busy. Another quote by Tony Robbins I learned 25 years ago, the road to someday leads to a town of nowhere. And so here you got a guy, 2 weeks you've been waiting to make a little progress in this song and he's not even fucking working on it. Dude, it'll take you a decade to write a song with that kind of nonsense going on. If he was just as committed, the two of you would be getting together. You'd be playing together. Even if you were remotely, you'd be doing it over Skype. You'd be figuring it out. The song would have been fucking written by now, and you probably would have written 5 or 6 other songs since then. And the only way you're going to get better as a songwriter and performer is if you write songs, you play them, you perform them, and you get up in front of other people and you get feedback. It's just like me doing my videos and the articles on my website. I know what people want. Why? Because I'm always answering the questions and the problems and the things that people are sending me. I don't try to guess what people need most of my help with. I let them tell me through the questions and things that they pay me for. That's how I keep a pulse on what my audience really wants and needs. And I also teach them a lot of things that they're not necessarily asking for, but I know they need because it's essential to be successful. That's why I talk about health. That's why I talk about exercise. That's why I talk about goal setting. That's why I talk about dating skills, pickup skills, relationship skills, who the people are that you have in your life, having a mission and a purpose that you love and you're passionate about. In this particular case, dude, you're never going to get to where you want to be by trying to write music with somebody who takes 2 weeks and they still haven't responded. Oh, I'm sorry, I've just been real busy. What he's really saying is, hey, dude, I know that it's probably important to you, but you know what? I really don't give a fuck. It's not a priority to me. And if I get some spare time and I got nothing other to do, in between time when I'm picking my ass and picking my nose, maybe I'll work on that verse. But if not, if you really want to succeed and get that song done, you be smart about it and you'd hire somebody else to help you write and perform that song, preferably, obviously, in your own city. He says this is not the first time he did something like this. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. If you keep doing what you've always done, you're going to continue to get what you've always got. Your friend's priority is obviously not music. It's not having a successful musical career. You are fucking wasting your valuable lifetime being involved with this guy. If he ever wants to come over and jam with you, great. But to write music, you're out of your fucking mind to be involved with someone like this. Never going to happen. You need to be with somebody that you can practice with and rehearse with and write and practice over and over and over and over and over and over again. That's the only way you're going to get better. And you guys are moving at 2 speeds, slow and stop. You're never going to get there. He says also, this is a regular problem with a few of my friends. Well, the quality of your life is in direct proportion to the quality of the people who you consistently spend your time with. This is how their lives are. They never get anything done and they never get anywhere in life. And this is why your life is the same way. That's why you're not getting anything done and why you're not getting anywhere in life. Because you continue to stay involved with people like this, thinking and hoping and wishing it would change instead of just saying, what do I really want? You should write a job description of the ideal type of musician that you want to play with. Good singer, good songwriter, great at guitar, great at drums, great at keyboards, great at the cello, being a great cellist, whatever, bass, whatever musicians you want to be with. You got to have people who have the same musical taste, who have the same kind of passion for music that you do. You look at like another great band, the Eagles. Well, Don Henley and Glenn Frey, those guys were the core of the Eagles. The two of them were passionate about writing and performing music together in their early days, and that formed the core of the band, the Eagles. And their greatest songs came from the two of them and their collaboration because they loved it. They were committed to it. They were singers for, I think it was Linda Ronstadt back in the 70s. They were basically her traveling band, and they eventually got to the point they said, you know what, we're going to leave and we're going to go start our own band. And she was cool about it. She's like, I think that's fucking great. You guys are amazing. You should fucking go for it. And they were surprised because they figured she'd be like, oh, I can't believe you're leaving me. I took you on the road and I did this for you and then you're leaving. That's how I get paid back? No, she was like, awesome, go for it. Go do it. And the rest is rock and roll history. Think about it. If Glenn Frey would have continued to, because when you look at the history of those two guys, Glenn Frey, Don Henley, or any successful musician, they were involved with a lot of other people and played with a lot of other bands that never really went anywhere. And it's because they were driven and they were focused. They knew what they wanted. They knew what their outcome was, and they weren't going to sit around and fuck around with anybody who wasn't just as committed as they were. And so they kept changing and adapting their approach and continually circulating. And eventually they found each other. And eventually they found other people to bring into their band who had the same goals and the same values and the same musical taste and talent. That's why they succeeded, because they kept adapting and changing their approach. They didn't quit. They kept moving towards their goal. They kept getting better. They kept writing songs. I saw a documentary on the Eagles recently. It's like Glenn Frey talked about that. He learned how to successfully write because he had no idea. He knew how to play guitar, but he didn't know the process or understand the process for writing a successful song. And so Jackson Browne, who's another famous musician from the late 60s, early 70s, would live downstairs from him. And so he was playing this song. It was one of the most famous songs that he had, one of his greatest hits. And he listened to this guy over the course of several months as he played on his piano. Little bit by little bit. He'd play a little bit, he'd pause, he'd write some lyrics down, then he'd play that same part over again and sing those lyrics, and then he would change this. And he was listening, he was like, oh, so that's how you write a song. It's a process. And things started to click. And so guess what? He started writing his own songs. Time and repetition. Time and repetition. It's the key to everything in life that you want to become good at or great at. Time and repetition. Repetition is the mother of skill. And what your problem is you're waiting. You're on stop while you're waiting for this guy who's probably never going to get around to writing this other verse. You're not getting any better by doing that. He's not helping you. You got to see that. You got to see this guy is holding you back. Love him as a friend, but find somebody else who is just as passionate and who has the same musical taste as you are and who's just as hungry as you are to make it. That's one thing that Don Henley and Glenn Frey had in common. They were fucking hungry. They wanted to succeed more than anything. They wanted to become a successful band. And they eventually found each other because they both had been a part of other bands that were somewhat successful, mediocrely successful. But they were not satisfied with the level of success and the commitment from the other people they were playing with. So they kept moving. They kept circulating. It's just like what I shared earlier about my guys that I was potentially involved with business-wise before I eventually got into a successful business partnership when I was 28. I started when I was 23. It was 5 years before I finally got to a place where I was in the right place and the guys that I went into business with were in the right place where everything lined up perfectly. And our business partnership was magical. Everything was fucking... I mean, we had our times where we disagreed, but anytime we did something or we started a new company, it always fucking took off. We really worked well together. And it's all because we had the same goals, the same values, the same visions. He continues on, they seem to think they can just tell me whatever and it doesn't mean anything or they don't have to hold their word. I understand people get busy, but this is the same people doing the same thing over and over again. If you keep doing what you've always done, you're going to continue to get what you've always got. You're wasting your fucking time, dude. Move on. Keep searching until you find new people whose goals and values are aligned with your own. I'm the type of person that if I say I'm going to do something, I do it. That's why you keep searching until you find somebody who is the same way. When he says he's going to do something or she says she's going to do something, they fucking do it. If we would have told me it was going to take 2 weeks to do it, it wouldn't have been a big deal. Quite frankly, dude, you should take your right hand, reach out and choke yourself. You are deluding yourself and bullshitting yourself thinking that this guy somehow is now all of a sudden going to become reliable. He's never been reliable. It's not going to happen. It's just not his nature. It's not his fault. It's not your fault that he's that way. It's just the way he is. He's made those choices. He's had things that have happened in his life, and he's made certain choices that have caused him to be that way. And I'll guarantee you, he doesn't even know that he's made those choices. And that's why I say he doesn't really understand or he doesn't even think about things that way. It's what he's focusing on. Music obviously is not his priority. Because if it was the one thing that really juiced him and made him feel alive, he would have done that part. The point being is on a scale of 1 to 10, maybe music is a 5 or a 6. And in your world, maybe music on a scale of 1 to 10 is a 9 or a 10. And that's why you're driving the train. And that's why you should... I think I just heard a train whistle. And that's why you should be focused on continually searching until you find other people who musically their goals and values are aligned with your own. It's the only way you're going to succeed and get to where you want to be. You'll never get there if you keep taking the same approach that you're taking. He says, I've had conversations and even arguments with friends about these types of things, and that never works. You're trying to change them. It's never going to happen. It's like dating a fat girl who just loves to eat shitty food, has no desire to exercise, and when you bring it up, she doesn't fucking care. It's not your fault that she's that way. That's the way she is. You either accept the fact that she's fat and going to eat cake and probably only get fatter and fatter as she grows older, or you're going to say, fuck this, I'm going to go find somebody who takes care of themselves like I do. That's the way you got to look at it. Most of the time, they make excuses and say it's not their fault. They really believe it's not their fault. So from their perspective, it's true. People will act consistently with who they view themselves to be, whether that view is accurate or not. Even when they admit they were wrong, they don't fix it. Get over it, dude. Move on. You're wasting your time with them. I'm guessing because I'm still around, I think maybe I'm too nice. No, you're just involved with the wrong people. You're making piss poor choices in your peer group. This is your career. This is what your passion is. Why are you fucking around? You're never going to get there. There's no such thing as a bad idea, only bad plans. And the plan that you are employing to make yourself a musical success sucks ass. Big time. You're never going to get there, dude. You must immediately change your approach and say, never again will I be... First time somebody says they're going to do one thing and then they do another, you're on to the next. On to the next. I've been passive about stuff like this in the past and let it go with no consequences, so this time I decided I wasn't going to be so easy. I stopped answering his calls and stopped talking to him. He must have called me like 10 times over the next 3 days, and I didn't answer any of his calls or respond to his text. I know it's going to be hard to set new standards when I've allowed this to go on for a long time. Well, at least you're taking proactive action. You're showing by your actions that, you know what, I just don't need... sometimes you just got to let people go in your life. People come and go in your life. Not everybody's meant to stay in your life forever. Not everybody's meant to be your business partner forever. Not everybody's meant to be your lover forever. Not everybody's meant to be your friend forever. Not everybody's meant to be your customer forever. Not everybody's meant to be your coworker forever. Love your family, but choose your peers. You need to do a better job of choosing your peer group, bro. This is my problem in life, and I need to fix it, hopefully in a way that I can keep my friends. Again, love them, appreciate them, but don't get involved with them musically. You'll never get anywhere. I came to the conclusion that might not be possible. I'm confused about how I should handle this. Did I handle this right, and how should I handle a person that repeatedly does something like this to me next time? Either accept that that's the way they are and stop being stupid enough to try to rely on them when they've shown you through their actions, like Maya Angelou said. When somebody tells you or shows you who they are, believe them. Your friend is flaky and unreliable. Therefore, don't waste your fucking time, dude. He says, also, should I talk to my friend again and tell him that I can't allow this in my life? Just say, hey, you're a great guy, but you know what? Music is my sole passion in life, and that's what I want to do. And it's obvious that it's not yours. So musically, we can't be talking or working together on music because all it does is frustrate me, and you're holding me back. You're getting in the way of where I want to be, and I need to be hanging out and playing with other people who are like-minded, who have the same goals and the same values as I do. If we're going to play, we can play together for fun every now and then, but I'm not going to be writing music with you because it's just frustrating. It's not fun for me, and I want to enjoy this. I want to look for my musical soulmates, and therefore I'm going to seek that. We can still be friends, but musically we just can't work together anymore. How long should I wait to talk to him? Tell him now. If people keep treating me wrong, this makes me think I'm doing something wrong. Yeah, you're continuing to stay and keep people in your life who really don't belong there. And you're expecting them to change, and it's never going to happen. People may become a better version of themselves, but they don't really change who they are. He says, I need to change something. I'm just not sure what to do or how to do it. Your advice is greatly appreciated. That's what I would do if I were you. So if you'd like to get my help personally, the quickest way is to book a paid phone, Skype, or email coaching session. You can choose any of those options by going to my website, clicking the products tab at the top of your screen, and just follow the instructions for booking whichever option works best for you. And I will talk to you soon.